Hey you guys, so my mom and I just got done shooting some really cute pictures for y'all, and I'm so excited for y'all to see them. So we are about to go back to my house and start videoing this life with chronic illnesses and my journey and what it's been like. So we will see you when we get back to the house. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be updated on when I post a new video. So as you can see in the title, this is going to be like a story time and my journey to like gastroparesis and SMAS, basically my life. So I have my mom here with me. Hello, Mother.
Hello, Josh.
Her name is Sharon, and she's just gonna be helping me like with the story and the dates, because malnutrition it's very what would you say? Like,
well,
it can take a toll on like
your mental, your ability to focus, and
like brain fog and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So she's gonna be helping me. Sorry, real quick, I have to turn on my pump. Okay, so I first got sick 2015 of February, and it's crazy because that's when I just graduated high school. Like, I graduated high school 2014, and then I started going to the gym and I met my boyfriend, and then like early 2015, that's when I first got sick with the SMAS. And do you want to describe what the SMAS is?
the SMAS, it stands for Superior Mesenteric Artery Syndrome. And what that is there is an artery, it's called the Superior Mesenteric Artery, that kind of crosses over the duodenum, so that way when your food goes down through the esophagus and hits the stomach and stuff like that, before it starts into the other process, it has to go through the duodenum, and this artery crosses over it, and when it does, it restricts the part where
the food's
trying to go through.
Stomach.
So basically the food is just sitting there, and then it's just sitting there just gathering, and when that happens, the only alternative is just the food has nowhere to go, so it just comes back up. Yes.
And I had, was like 8 centimeters.
I think it was
like this much. Mm-hmm. That much, where my food, basically anything.
That's like a picture if Kristina can show you.
Oh, it's not focusing.
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
to where the artery does come across, and it restricts all of that. So
yeah, so when I started going to the gym and met my boyfriend in early 2015, just like I woke up out of nowhere. And meanwhile, let me just say this. I was living with my boyfriend at the time, and we only knew each other for like 2 months. Guys, 2 months we knew each other, and I was living with him, and then like all of a sudden I started throwing up. And that's where the SMAS comes in. So I started throwing up. Like, I could not keep anything down, you guys. I could not keep anything down. And we just thought I had food poisoning. Mm-hmm. And we went to, was it like 2 hospitals here?
Yeah, we went to, of course, with us thinking it was food poisoning, and with the amount that she was throwing up, there was the concern of dehydration and things like that. So, we took her just to the hospital here, and they did, some testing and thought maybe it was a virus, or a 24-hour bug. So basically, we just kept an eye on it over the first few days, and then probably about a week later, and Kristina's still vomiting, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is just not right. There's something else going on here. So the first thing I did was made an appointment with a gastroenterologist here, and he set her up for a test. And in the meantime, we had her back to the urgent care facilities checking for her dehydration, because I am telling you, she could not even keep down water. It would be like projectile. So once in early March, after they had done some other testing with a HIDA scan and different things like that to make sure it wasn't her pancreas, gallbladder and stuff, the HIDA scan, all that was normal. They decided to do a CT scan in March with contrast. And when they did that, we got the results back, and of course it was abnormal findings. So, and that's when the first thing we had ever heard of the SMAS, Superior Mesenteric Artery Syndrome. But there are other tests that you have to do to be able to prove that that's what it is, because the main issue when you have an illness like this, there are certain factors that come into play that they can mimic. So you really have to be careful, because doctors are very hesitant to jump to, okay, you have SMAS, so let me go ahead and do your surgery.
Because it's so rare.
Because it is a rare illness. So it really took us a long time to get that diagnosis, and we finally went to official diagnosis. We went to Duke, and Kristina had another test there, and that test was normal. So while we're talking to a gastroenterologist at Duke, she said, okay, here's the deal. She said, Kristina, I understand that you have this test that shows on the screen that you have this artery coming across, but I really hate to do surgery because there's another illness, and it's called gastroparesis, that mimics this. So it's hard to say what really is going on. And that, we didn't think any more about the gastroparesis. We just knew that, hey, we're looking at this on a screen. The artery is cutting off the route to her being able to process her food. So if you can't do anything, then we'll go somewhere else. So they did put her on some medications, kind of like a brain to gut medication, and they just created problems.
Like I was driving on the wrong side of the road. And I also want to mention, you guys, every time that I would see a new doctor, or even like with my PCP, like I was following up with her, they thought I was bulimic because I was just turned 20. I was losing weight like crazy, dehydrated, like malnourished. They thought that this was just
basically an
bulimia.
An eating disorder. And it was so bad that at one visit, Kristina just looked at the doctor, and she was just straight up, let me tell you this, it is not an eating disorder.
I know
my body, and this is not what's happening here.
And if it was an eating disorder, wouldn't you think that I would not be going as far as I am? But anyway.
So anyway, after a few more months of Kristina throwing up and losing weight, I decided to go on the internet, and I found this girl that lived in Charlottesville, I believe, and she had been on a show called Mystery Diagnosis. So I emailed her, and what have I got to lose? I have a sick child, she's losing weight hand over fist, she's puking in trash cans, Walmart bags, wherever. So I messaged her, and she said, if you can get into Johns Hopkins, that's where you need to go. So I, thanked her for that advice, and called a doctor at Johns Hopkins and told him Kristina's issues and her tests and stuff like that. We had a visit in Baltimore within like 3 days, and that fell into like July. And of course, that is a tremendously big hospital, and the doctor that we saw is supposed to be a well-known physician, and he's, of course, they want to do their own testing, which is completely understandable. So he set Kristina up for some other testing, and when they did the comparison, he said, you do have SMAS. So I think the best thing for us to do, and he said, Kristina, no tube down your nose is going to help you. But I do want to make something perfectly clear. We are not physicians. I am not a physician. I have learned a lot in this process, and tubes down your nose can help some people. They truly can. That is their only means of nutrition, only means of survival. But that just wasn't an option for Kristina. So he set her up for surgery. So she had surgery in September
of 2015.
So at that point, we're thinking, okay, thank goodness everything is good. She's going to
I'm going to get back to my life.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't want y'all to think that my boyfriend just left me, because he didn't. We're actually married now. But he has stood by me through all of this. He is a truly amazing, sweet, genuine guy, and I'm very blessed. So yeah, he in my family as well. But he has stood with me. I didn't want y'all to think that he left me, but yeah. So yeah, after I had my surgery, and before I got sick, I was 120 working out. And then when I had my surgery, I weighed in at 109, 110, around that area. So, I forgot.
And the reason for that was, even though she had lost a lot of weight, I think her surgeon, his thought process was, let's go ahead and get this taken care of now before she does fall into under 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's why we went ahead and had the procedure. So, but after that, she was home for about 2 weeks, and we're thinking life is just grand, and then all of a sudden,
I started throwing up again.
Mm-hmm.
So
her stomach very distended.
8 months pregnant belly, huge, where just all of the food and the drink that I was taking in was just sitting in my stomach. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? You can kind of see it.
Kind of see it, yeah.
So after I had, sorry you guys, this is malnutrition here. When I first started throwing up again, I didn't know what, I was so scared. I thought, because I have never had a surgery in my whole entire life. I've never broken a bone. I've never had any surgeries. And this surgery was so cut and paste, because it's an artery. They can't just cut through an artery in my stomach.
It was a major
it's a
surgery.
very major surgery. And for that to be my first surgery, I was scared out of my mind. So I was thinking okay, I'm gonna get this surgery, and everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get my life back. So when I started throwing up again, it was I didn't know what to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying not to cry.
It is very emotional, and takes a toll on one's mental health, and especially when they think that everything is going to be turned around, and then all of a sudden you're smacked in the face again, and you really don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's caused this. And another thing that I think is very important to say is, Kristina is not the only one with this illness, and she is not the only one that has an illness that is either debilitating or just life-threatening, or even a terminal illness. So I do understand that, and I can only speak for myself as to what I've gone through over this. it has just been such an emotional roller coaster, if you will. And we always say, how the old saying goes, when my mama's happy, everybody's happy. Well, in this case, when Kristina's having a good day, mama's having a good day. And I think that falls for all of us, her sisters and her husband, and because it just tears him up to see her, even though she looks good right now.
I never ever put on makeup, so yeah.
To have to pick her up because something has happened, and her potassium level has dropped, and he may have to pick her up and carry her to the bedroom. So those things are still going on with her. But back to the gastroparesis. In May of 2016, after we had made our final trip to Baltimore, once her doctor said, okay, you don't have the SMAS, and all the testing that we've done for the procedure we did, everything is fine. So my guess is you now have a delayed emptying stomach.
But you guys, also, I had to have that surgery.
Oh yeah,
So,
it was a necessity, for her life. So once we, at our final visit in Baltimore, it was like April of 2016, and Kristina by that point had lost down to 84 pounds, and very sick.
We went to, I had an appointment. When was Janet's answer?
April.
Okay, so I had an appointment in Baltimore in April, and we thought since I had lost, it's like 10 pounds within a week, or like 2 weeks, since I've lost so much, that they were going to put a feeding tube in. And the doctor looked at me and she just said, if you lose 5 more pounds, call me. Within not like 5 days, within 5 days, I had collapsed. And I remember my older sister was there. My husband, I don't think you can see any of these pictures that we're trying to show. You can kind of. No. But,
yeah, she was making hot tea.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Kristina had moved back home. And it was because just, we had family that could watch her all the time. And that way, Eric was comfortable and didn't have to worry about her being left alone while he was working. So she moved back home, and then one morning she had gotten up and making hot tea, and the next thing you know, she's out. She seizured, actually.
All I remember is putting the hot tea in the microwave, and then I told Mackenzie, my sister, I thought I was going to pass out. So she said, sit down and put your head between your legs. I went blank. I don't remember a thing. I remember waking up and I was on the floor, but there were the paramedics were already there. So I don't remember. My husband said that when I fell, he caught me, because if he weren't there, I probably would not be sitting here right now. Mm-hmm. Because I would have hit my head by the what do you call that?
Chairs, counter.
No, the counter. Because I was literally right behind a counter, and yeah. So that's all I remember, is waking up and them putting me in the ambulance and then going to the hospital. I don't remember a thing. He thought I was having a seizure, but it was a seizure-like episode where my potassium had dropped to like 2.3, which is very dangerous, and I really didn't have an option but to have a feeding tube put in.
Yeah, once she was in the hospital, of course, she was, transported here to the local hospital, and the GI doctor that took over her case at that point, he gave her the option of going back to Baltimore or staying here. And at that point, we decided we would, stay local and see what happened. And he gave her the option of having the feeding tube. And, she's like, oh my goodness, a feeding tube. And, just different things.
Because that has its own problems.
It does. And he just told her, he was straight up. He said, Kristina, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you leave this hospital without a feeding tube, you will die. You will die.
He said when he first came in, is when I met him, he said that he was very surprised that I didn't go into cardiac arrest. Go ahead.
He said that he was surprised she didn't go into cardiac arrest, and at this point she was so malnourished that they had to get her hydrated enough to where she could even be
able to have
the surgery. So once he got that done, they got that put in. She was in the hospital for 10 days, and that just took a toll on her body.
Because my body had to get used to having something in it, like the formula and stuff. So
and a foreign object in her stomach, as well. So
I could probably show y'all.
So this is my new tube. We haven't gotten this far yet, but that's where my first one was. So.
But so anyway, so after she had the first tube, that in itself, like Kristina says, does go with, oh my goodness, so many issues, for all the men and the young girls and boys and children that have feeding tubes. I mean, you can understand this, and it is a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a life-changing
And they
challenge.
are painful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. They are painful.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, you have the tube going in, and it's your body's trying to reject it or whatever, and then you have all this raw meat that starts working its way out, and you have to burn it, and it's just very, very painful because there's a lot of nerves there, and just the food can make you nauseous, and it's just a real challenge.
it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So after I got my first feeding tube, that was May 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't start gaining weight until, how long do you think I had it? Maybe like couple months?
Yeah, a couple months.
Is when I started to slowly but surely gain some weight back. And the doctor that put my tube in, when I was seeing him, he said that let's take our time. He really didn't have a plan, let's do this, then let's do this, and let's do this, and then so forth. Where I'm just I just want my life back. I just want to be able to eat anything. And plus I'm also not patient. So, and then my mom actually found a doctor at Wake Forest, and he is a gastro specialist. He's written a book and well known and stuff. So, I was thankful enough to get an appointment to see him. So when Mom told my doctor here that we had an appointment to see this other doctor, he said, if you have the appointment, you need to keep it because he is so hard to see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started seeing this doctor at Wake Forest. And you guys, the doctor here, don't get me wrong, he is a great, great doctor. But not all doctors are going to work for you. They can work for somebody else, but they just won't work for you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I saw the new doctor at Wake Forest, he wanted to do his own test, and he did one test where it like measured my sound waves. I had to like drink water, and I couldn't drain it, and my stomach can only hold 1 ounce. That's not a lot. And that's just liquid. That's not like trying to eat. So then he mentioned doing a Botox treatment, and it's where they put you to sleep. They go into your stomach, and they inject a shot in the pylorus.
Well, the first thing he wanted to do what they call GES, and that's the gastric emptying study, and it's a 4-hour process, and you eat scrambled egg and a piece of toast and something else, and then of course on every hour they'll go in and they do a test to see how much of that food has digested. And with Kristina, she can only eat half of the food. So, and they did make a note of that. But at the end of the 4 hours, you should only have 8% of food, approximately 8%. I think some tests may vary or whatever. 8% of food left in your stomach, and Kristina had like almost half, 30 some percent, 30 to 40% of food left in her stomach. So that, of course, was definitely, gastroparesis diagnosis, like an official, here's definitely what you have. So, then he did ask about some other options for her, even though she had her feeding tube, which he felt like was wonderful because it did give her the ability, as much as a pain as it was, to gain some weight and be able to, do some things and enjoy
life.
And, So he mentioned doing a Botox shot in the pylorus, and like babies can have an immature pylorus, and if they are drinking their formula and they will have the projectile of the formula, it's where the pylorus isn't mature, and it's like this a muscle that constricts and opens and stuff, and it allows the formula to go through. Well, with Kristina, hers was very tight. So when that's what he offered. He said, let's try a Botox shot, and we're thinking, okay, well, it's not going to hurt, I mean, she's got the feeding tube as a backup, whatever. So he did the first Botox. So he did the first Botox shot, and he said the pylorus was extremely tight. So there's, no guarantee as to whether or not it was going to work, but it was definitely worth a try. And in Kristina's case,
it worked for about 5 to 6 months, and then it helped the vomiting, so I didn't throw up anymore, but it didn't help how bloated I would get after I would eat or drink something. So then it was time for me to get another Botox shot, and that one did not, it didn't last as long as the first one. I think it lasted like 2 months. And he wanted to try it again. So then I had a third Botox shot, and it didn't take it all.
But now when she had the first Botox shot, once it, settled got in her system and everything, it gave her the opportunity
to get married. Yes. Eric and I went to the courthouse. Actually, he proposed to me at our house with rose petals, and then my mom and his mom were here. It was just really romantic and sweet, and caught me totally off guard. So we got engaged December the 21st. Yeah, December the 21st. And then we were engaged for like a couple days, and engaged for a couple days, and then we went to the courthouse.
Well, by this time, Kristina's living at home, and she called me one morning, and she said, "Mom," she said, "I've been thinking," and she said, "How would you feel if Eric and I just went ahead and got married?" And I said, "Honey, that's up to you guys." And she was just like, because he has really sacrificed so much for me, and
He didn't have to stay with me.
yeah.
He only knew me for 2 months.
Mhm. So she said, "I really think that I want to do this." So, and in the meantime, Kristina's living at home and still trying to. I'm still using the feeding tube, I think, by this point, and trying to keep her weight up and her vitamins and things like that. So they went ahead and went to the courthouse and got married, which was fine, and she was able to have a wedding in May 2017. Yeah. So, and it allowed her to be able to do that and enjoy herself. And
then my dad could walk me down the aisle, because I've got 3 older sisters. I'm the baby, and he hasn't been able to walk any of his girls down the aisle. So that was something that Eric and I compromised with, because he knew that I wanted my dad to be able to walk me down the aisle. So.
So anyway, so we go from May of 2017 through more Botox shots, and then finally the Botox shots no longer work for Kristina, and she starts the throwing up again. And
that was January of 2008. 18? Yeah.
January 2018, she started throwing up again. So, and then of course we're back to the dehydration and the lack of vitamins, and just the whole thing of not knowing, where to go, what to do, and in the meantime, Kristina's trying to work. She'd gotten a job, and trying to have some type of normal as a newlywed, and again trying to work and stuff as well, but that just kind of took a toll on her. So it's kind of like, what do you do? Try to work or maintain your health as best you can. So that's what she decided to do, and
Which sucked.
well, it did, but that's just the way it is. But so in April, we were trying to get appointments with her doctor at Wake Forest again, and it just takes forever. And finally, they were able to get her in and decide that she really had no choice, because she was losing down to, like, what was your weight in April? Like 90?
Like 95, I think.
Yeah, about 95 pounds. And, the doctor told us at that point that as much as he did not like feeding tubes because they are a pain, he was hoping that the Botox shots were going to work. But he really felt like, as of right now, Kristina had no choice but to have the second tube.
My first tube came out on its own right when I was about to have my second Botox shot. So.
So then she had to go for that amount of time with basically nothing, just trying to keep herself, somewhat
healthy.
hydrated and healthy and stuff. So they did the tube. Yeah, they did the tube in May of 2018, and something that I don't know if anyone's familiar with it's called refeeding syndrome, and where she was so malnourished and dehydrated that when they got her tube in, and that itself was a whole nother ordeal because of the surgery in Baltimore, and where they had to cut and paste, and they weren't sure whether they were going to be able to put go the route that they needed to go for this feeding tube, and it was just crazy. But they were able to get that done, and once they started her on formula, her body went into what's called refeeding syndrome, and the doctor there said that not everybody has the capability to check for that, but with Kristina, her body was so malnourished once it started getting the formula, it was just like grabbing, he described it as like Pac-Man, just grabbing everything that it was taking in to try to replenish what it had lost. And in the meantime, I mean, that was a very critical state for her, and he point blank said she's in a critical state. So that was very scary in itself, and here we are, and she's of course trying to get her rate increased and to where she can be able to function, and
they have this tube, it's called a Mickey button. I don't have that, you guys. I just have the standard long dangler tube, but they have a Mickey button where it's like literally like a button. It's flush to your stomach, and you just like open it up, and then you like, yeah. So, but my doctor doesn't want me to have that done until I get up to like at least 110, and I'm at 89 still. So I just really want to get that Mickey button.
Mm-hmm. So trying to, make sure she has her potassium, those levels are good.
Yeah, that's another thing. My potassium has been, like I have to go every week to get blood work done because it just won't take.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's where we are, but this, again, this illness is something that it's hard to understand, it's hard to diagnose, and when other people that have this illness, when they have good days,
you take advantage of it.
Yes.
Like today is a good day. You see I have makeup on, it's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said earlier, I never really put makeup on anymore because usually my days are always bad days. I'm always in bed, I'm always at the house, like it's just, it takes a toll on your life, and it just sucks. But also, this is my story, my journey. Everybody's diseases, everybody's gastroparesis or SMAS is different. It's different for everybody. So I also wanted to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Just
stay positive.
Yeah, stay positive, and even on your bad days, and there are groups that you can join and follow,
and feel free to message me. Like, I don't care. I ain't doing anything. I got nothing to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she can't work and stuff, but it's just it really is hard, I think, as a parent, that when you have family functions and everybody's eating, everybody's able to go out to dinner and stuff, and Kristina's not able to do that. That is, it takes a toll, but
then again, I'm used to it. I mean, this has been going on for a little over 3 years, so
And I'm going to tell you, when this journey first started for her, and she had gotten on, a couple websites, and we saw where some other, other people that had this illness for like 5 years and stuff, and Kristina looks at me, she says, "Mom," she says, "my goodness, do you think I'll have it for 5 years?" And, we're like, "Honey, I certainly hope not," but, you just don't know what the plan is, and, I feel like that Kristina is, an inspiration. She's very positive, and I have friends that call her a diva warrior because she is a diva warrior, and so that's funny. And when I'll post a picture or something, even as frail as she can be, or at a doctor's appointment and she doesn't feel good, she's dehydrated or whatever, she's always smiling. So that's what everybody always, they love that positivity in her, and they always make note of, of that, bless her heart and stuff. But, like I said, she's not the only one that's going through this, and my heart just goes out to families and parents and siblings and grandparents that have someone, because, this is not the first time we've had illness in our family. I've had a nephew that's had leukemia, and a sister-in-law that had leukemia. Actually, 2 nephews. One had leukemia, and one had kidney cancer. So, and he was like 2 years old when he was diagnosed with that. So, it's just illness. It doesn't matter what the illness is. It's just hard. It's hard, and but we stay positive, and I try to be there for Kristina, and her sisters are there for her, and her husband. So we do what we can to get her through, and that's just what we do.
You definitely, because I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm not gonna tippy-toe around this. There have been times where I just want to give up. I've lost faith. I'm just giving up. But you can't. God He's amazing. And I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And there's a reason that I'm here, that we're here, making this video for y'all. You have to stay positive. And if you do have an illness, maybe not, what I have, but you are sick, stay positive. Don't let this hold you back from doing what you wanted to do. I've been wanting to do YouTube videos for a while now, and I'm just now doing it.
Let me tell you how one of the things that Kristina has taken on, she decided at one point that she was going to be a makeup consultant. And when she asked about that, we're like, Kristina, you would be perfect for that. And here this young lady is with a feeding tube and a pole, going to do facials and doing whatever she can to make a little bit of money. And because she's been independent since she was 16, and to try to be able to have a life, yeah. So, but that even when we were in Baltimore, my goodness, we're in Baltimore, and she approaches the one of the desk clerks and at our hotel, yeah. And she says, hey, if you have time when you get off, if you want to come up to the room, she says, I'm a representative, and I'd be more than happy to give you a facial, and blah blah blah. So sure enough, that girl came up there and was a customer of Kristina's, and I think that
we became friends.
Yeah, and it was a very positive time for Kristina. But I've seen her take her pole, sick, with her tube, doing things that she has wanted to do as best as she can. So,
but yeah, just stay positive.
And on a bad day,
yeah,
message Kristina.
I don't care. Like I said, I ain't doing anything. I got nowhere to go. I don't have any plans. I'm free. So yeah. Well, I know, I'm sorry that this video is a little longer, but we wanted to make sure that we got everything that we wanted to say, because you know, this is...
And don't be discouraged. If you go to a doctor and he's not a good fit for you, go to another one. You know, I mean, goodness, we've been to North Carolina, Baltimore. I'd go to Ohio, I'd go to Florida, go wherever I needed to go. And you have to be your own advocate. I know there have been times that Kristina, you know, she would have to just say, Mom, can you tell? And thank goodness the doctors would let me, you know, explain what was going on, because Kristina, as she said earlier, her brain was in such a fog and she just couldn't remember. All she was knowing was that she was just sick. And you just have to be your own advocate. You know, if you know your body and you know something's not right, then, you know, pursue that.
Yep. So before I end this video, I want to give a huge thank you to the people that I follow on YouTube. The first one, the Ace family. Like, I know I'm saying y'all, but you probably may not see this. But anyways, I want to say thank you to the Ace family, the Brand fam, and Chronically Jackie. So if it wasn't for me like binge watching y'all's videos, I probably would not be sitting here making my own like YouTube channel. Like, there's so much that I want to do on this channel. I want to try to do makeup. I want to try and do like some funny pranks. I mean, basically whatever you want to see, please comment below. And if you have any questions or you want to reach out to me, comment below. So yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. And like I said before, I'm really sorry that this is a, you know, lengthy video. But I hope...
Well, it's an important video.
Yeah, it's very important. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.